Hey, what is up, everybody? If your lawn looks like this, brown, thinning, dying, and you're tired of spending hours and hours per week manually watering your lawn, I have a potential solution for you. 2 years ago, I installed myself this sprinkler kit. I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested in picking yourself up one. Pretty awesome. So in this video, I'm going to show you quickly how you can install it and also give you a 2-year review. See how this system is holding up 2 years later after harsh winters. It's not a $2,000 or $3,000 professional kit, but it's going to save you a lot of time, has a really simple installation, and is very affordable. All right, first things first, let me give you a very quick installation process walkthrough here. Obviously, you're going to want to locate any buried utilities. That's incredibly important. You don't want to hit any gas or electric lines, so make sure you follow regulations and do so. The next thing you want to check is the flow rate for your particular setup. They recommend at least 6 gallons per minute as a minimum flow rate, right? So how I did this, you just follow the instructions, take a 5-gallon bucket, and the time, how long it takes to fill it up to that 5 gallons. Make a note of how many seconds, divide it by 5, and multiply it by 60, and you've got your gallon per minute flow rate. All right, now this kit comes complete with everything you need to get this thing fully operational. It's got 6 adjustable rotating sprinkler heads, 125 feet of tubing, and all the connecting pieces that you need. Here's a quick look at one of the 1/2-inch barbed couplers that you can use to connect one piece of tube with the other piece of tube together. Obviously it's plastic, it can break, but I've found that it's incredibly durable, holds up pretty well, and all the parts are like this. Here are the 6 rotating adjustable sprinkler heads that you can see here. This is the basic layout of the system. Now here's my setup. You can see I've got my regular hose, disregard that, and you'll see a black hose going into the ground along with the automatic timer. Okay, I'll explain more of this and what this is, how this works later in the video, but this is basically where obviously the water comes in from out of your house to the ground and into the sprinkler system. So that black tube kind of disappears into the ground, right? Carries that water and delivers the water to the 6 adjustable rotating sprinkler heads that I have positioned, 3 alongside my house, right up behind those bushes there, all the way to the driveway. And then as you can see, well, you can't see, it's buried, right? I have 3 other ones going up the left side of my perimeter. Obviously, you can formulate which setup works for you. The instructions give you some possible scenarios, some possible layouts, and you can even map out your particular setup. You'll want to follow those instructions really carefully. For example, you want to make sure there's not more than a 6-foot inclination. The elevation with this particular setup, you might have a hard time delivering enough throw for the water to cover the lawn area that you need. The instructions show you pretty well how far to space them out and how much throw you can have. If you'd like to read these instructions in more detail, I'll put a link in the description below to the instructions, so check that out if you need to. Here's a glimpse at the faucet connection components. So you've got your automatic timer, which is the green and black unit right there, and then this extra little coupler that will serve as a connection point between the automatic timer and the black tube that goes into the ground that we saw earlier. Now you're going to be cutting all the black tubing yourself that carries the water to where you want it to go, using a tin snip or a garden tool. It also gives you this handy little insertion tool, so any time you need to connect the black tubing to a barb, whether a barbed coupler or a T or anything like that, you can just push it in like as shown and insert the tubing into the coupler. It's super easy to do. Now, once you have all your tubing attached to your couplers and your T's, you're going to tape it, obviously with some plumber's tape. That's going to create an extra seal, so the water obviously you don't want that leaking out. And then it's going to have you adjust the sprinkler heads. And they give you these extra little nozzles that come with it if they crack or break or whatever. And I've never had mine crack or break. This is the bag that I have, and I've not had to replace them at all. But we'll get to that. Now, the next step, you're going to be burying it almost 8 inches deep. Now, before you go to the effort of digging out 8 inches, your entire trench, make sure you hook everything up and turn it on. Make sure it works okay. By the way, a little tip here. You can see me with the power washer. I actually used the power washer to dig my trench. It saved me a ton of time and a ton of manual effort. I literally just took my nozzle, put it on the most pointed setting, and just blasted 8 inches down. Obviously, it creates a big mess and gives your neighbors lots of things to talk about or look at, but it worked and was a huge time saver. So once your trench is dug, you can actually just lay your black tubing, you can see it right there, lay it inside the trench and fill it back up, and you're pretty much operational. So with everything in working condition, you'll set up the automatic timer and get that connected with the to the faucet on the side of your house like this, and it's literally that simple. All right, so with that very, very quick installation process behind us, let's see how this thing holds up after 2 winters. Before I go out and show you my system and get it cranked up for you, let me just show you really quickly my setup. I do have this little T that comes out from the side of the house there that I install and then take off after each winter. This allows me to use my regular hose and the sprinkler system simultaneously. If you're thinking about buying one of these, definitely go with the brass. You want this to be solid, well built. Now the handles are metal, but I love these brass quarter turns here. You can see there, it puts a really tight seal around any water coming out of there, closing it up and opening it up really well. Okay, so this is the spring. I'm getting everything out and just doing a manual inspection. This is the automatic timer that comes with the kit. It has been in storage all winter. I do bring it inside. That's important to make sure because it does maybe have some water in it, and you don't want that outside during the winter freezing, okay? So I do bring that in with me every winter, disconnect everything from the faucet outside the house and bring it in. So I'm just checking, making sure my tape is good. I do use plumber's tape, and I'm also going to be checking all my washers to make sure that the rubber has held up. Now the kit comes with a sprinkler adjuster head, and you'll see me use that later. But for now, I'm going to use that to pop out the washers and just do a visual inspection. I have found that 2 washers as opposed to 1 is really helpful. Contact the company if you need an extra washer that fits, or bring in the washer to the hardware store. But this is the faucet connection piece here. It screws on to your automatic timer as shown. Very simple. And I don't use tape on this one, although you certainly can. I've never had an issue with leaking water at this point. So, but definitely the bottom end there, I do put tape on that, and that seals up any water leaking happening. All right, and at the top of the automated timer, I'm going to check the washer there. Now the washer has a built-in screen that traps any sediment coming out of your water supply. You don't want any of that sediment going into your sprinkler system over the years, so definitely make sure that piece is intact and in good condition. All right, and it does have a battery pack that is completely sealed to any rain or water. And I do take that out after each season of use. So I'm going to put fresh batteries in, and I'm going to pop it into the back of the automated timer, and that will easily last me all season. All right, with that in, we're good to go. Let's take a walk outside. Now the black tube here, this is the black tube coming out of the ground, and the black tube that I will have to connect to the automated timer that you just saw, okay? Notice how I have it tucked away during the winter, just underneath my air conditioner support there to keep it nice and dry and protected. So I'm gonna pop that out, and you can see the end here. And I'm just gonna bring that up. And by the way, the installation of this is really simple too. This little black coupler just kind of pops on the black tubing, and once it's on, you don't ever have to change it. So I'm going to take that black tubing and I'm going to attach it to the automated timer, and then the automated timer is going to attach to my coupler as shown here. So this is my particular setup, and I'm really happy with it. Let me go ahead and take off my regular hose. Now you can go ahead and take your little T-shape, your brass T here, and attach it to the automated timer if you want to do that first. You can, or obviously you can hook up the brass T to your spigot there first. Really doesn't matter, but if you have to turn any particular part to get it to fit, you might need to think about that. So I'm going to hook up my brass tee here to the spigot and get that locked down really well. I do tape my spigot too if you're interested in minimizing any leaks. And I'm going to go ahead and connect all the parts there. So the black tubing easily screws onto the base of the timer unit as shown. And I'm going to get that manually tight. Be careful, it is plastic, so it does crack if you use pliers or if you over tighten. So you want to find that sweet spot where you're not going to get any water leakage and you're going to have a nice firm tight without cracking. And then I'm going to hook it up to my brass spigot, and that allows me to put my hose completely separate from the sprinkler system, but so I can use my hose to water other flowers that are out of reach. And this allows me to have individual control over each one as well with these little shutoff valves. So I really love this system, very efficient and easy to use. All right, so we're gonna boot this thing up for you. So let's slide the timer, now that it has batteries in it, to the auto position. And then we're gonna manually, now you can fully adjust this to time and date and whatnot, but I'm gonna manually tell it to start watering right now. Very simple to do, press start now. And you'll see the timer. You can change the time on it and make it 20 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever you want. I'm going to just, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to test it out here and make sure everything's working. So I'll crank up the water here for you and get that in focus. There we go. And there you go. You can see the sprinkler head popped up there pretty quickly. And it's kind of hitting that plant and spraying all over. I definitely didn't put that in a great place, but that's not really the point of this video. Just showing you around here. Let's go to the other sprinkler head, take a look. Now over the winter, it looks like this little top cap kind of popped off, so I'm gonna have to pop that back on. Not a big deal, just a little piece of plastic that goes into place there. Let's go check out the third one. Everything looking pretty good there, I think. Now it's a windy day, so that wind is definitely taking the water. So it's not going to appear that it has as much throw as it's actually giving. There you go. Now you can adjust those nozzles to make it shoot and spray a little further or less, kind of a mist. You remember those blue nozzles that we saw earlier in the video? I'm going to take my screwdriver here in just a minute and you can fully adjust those if you need to. But it's got pretty good throw for my particular setup. Definitely not a system that costs thousands of dollars, but it totally works. And it's got a lot of adjustments that you can make. For example, you can switch out those little blue plastic nozzles for more high flow nozzles. They do have that option. And also on the top of the sprinkler heads themselves, there's going to be several adjusting points that you can make. You can increase the distance, so have the water push further. You can change, obviously, the angle or the stopping point at which the sprinkler head turns so that you're not doing a full 360. By the way, it does cover 360 degrees, so 40 to 360 degrees is what these sprinkler heads cover. So they've got a lot of versatility and making sure that you can adjust depending on your setup. Now the manufacturer does say that it can cover up to 3,000 square feet of lawn here depending on how you lay it out. I don't have anywhere close to that amount of coverage on this particular side of my house, but I've got all 6 working together. They are crisscrossing and overlapping with one another, and the instructions walk me through how to do this. Now I do want to mention, let me pause the video here. At the top of your screen you can see the sprinkler head, the top left there. This is the lowest point in my lawn. I live in the Midwest and we have brutal winters, and the system does come complete with a drainage kit, and so you just want to make sure that's installed at the lowest point of your lawn, just so that every winter everything drains out of there nice and easy. There's not any water left over that allows the system to freeze up. So you can see here 2 years later this system is working beautifully. There was some air that was being pushed out when I first fired it up, but other than that, no leaks. Everything seems to be working well. So I'll go ahead and turn the unit off and shut it down here, just to show you also how I do that. Now I don't obviously do that each time, but for this video, this is how I seal everything back up. So to end here, this is a system that's not thousands and thousands of dollars, but the sprinkler system is very affordable, saves me a lot of time, and it's very easy to install, and I'm pretty happy with it overall. So hopefully this video has been helpful for you. Thank you so much.